Welcome to Creativity Cooks. Today we are making some various types of sushi rolls. To make this recipe, you will need the following ingredients: 1 cup of sushi rice, 1¼ cups of water, 2 teaspoons of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a cup of rice vinegar, 3 to 6 sheets of seaweed, 3 tablespoons of tuna fish, which is optional, 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise, 1 teaspoon of relish, 1 avocado, 1/4 cup of carrots, 1 cucumber, 1 bamboo or plastic spatula, and 1 rolling mat. Let's begin by prepping your rice. Add your 1 cup of rice to a medium bowl and add some water to it. Use a spatula or a spoon to gently stir the rice in the bowl, and then use a strainer to drain the water out of the rice. Now, in a medium pot, add your 1¼ cups of water to the pot and turn the stove on to medium heat. Add your sushi rice to the pot and gently stir it up in the pot. Once you have it stirred, you can cover the rice, and once it begins to boil, you will turn the rice down to medium heat, cover it once again, and let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once it's finished, remove the rice from the stove and add it to a medium bowl to allow it to cool. In a separate small pot, add your rice vinegar to the pot and turn the stove to medium or low heat. Add your sugar and salt to the rice vinegar and gently stir. Once the sugar and salt is dissolved, remove the rice vinegar from the stove. Once the rice vinegar is ready, pour it into the rice and use your wood, bamboo, or plastic spatula to stir the rice and blend it up. You do not want to use a metal spatula for this because you don't want the metal to react with the rice vinegar. So either use a wood or bamboo, which is a type of wood, or plastic spatula to stir the rice. If you're going to use tuna for this recipe, this is how you blend it. You will add your tuna with the mayonnaise and the relish to a medium or a small bowl and mix it up. Once it's finished, you can set it aside and start preparing your vegetables for your sushi. For the vegetables that I'm going to use for this video, I'm going to use a cucumber, we're going to use carrots, and we're going to use avocado. So for things like the cucumbers, you want to slice them up into thin, long strips. Be really careful if you're using a knife, and if your mom and dad or a guardian are around, please ask them for help with this step. So I'm slicing my cucumber up into some thin, long strips, and now I'm going to slice my avocado. The easiest way to slice an avocado is to slice the skin along lengthwise like this, and do that all the way around the avocado and gently peel it off. For the rolling wrap that you received in your kit, put some plastic wrap or some wax paper on top of it just like this, and I'm just gently tucking the sides underneath it so that my entire mat is covered. Add your seaweed to the wrap and put one end of it at the very top of your rolling mat just like this. Now that your rice is ready, you will use your spatula to add the rice on top of the seaweed wrap, just like I am doing here. You also want to use your spatula to evenly distribute the rice so that you don't have big mountains in one area and valleys in the other. So just spread it across, try to get it close to the edges, but not falling off. And if you need to go back into your bowl and scoop some more rice because you don't have enough, you can do that. But as you're spreading it also, use your spatula to press the rice down into the seaweed. If you're going to add tuna to your sushi, add it to the middle of the sushi, not one end or not the other. You want to go straight across the middle, just like I am doing here. You also don't want to put too much tuna because you're going to be rolling this up, and if you put too much tuna into it, it's going to all squish out at the end. I am also going to add some carrots to my tuna. I love the way this combination of the tuna and the carrots taste together. But if you do not want to add carrots to this, you do not have to. Or if you want to add cucumbers to it at this point, you can do that as well. Or if you want to just leave the tuna alone and have it just like that, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Now, this is the trickiest part of making sushi. It is how you roll it up. So as you can see, I just gently folded over my rolling mat and my plastic wrap is kind of sticking to the seaweed as well. I'm gently going to pull it off and just use my rolling mat just like this. And as I'm rolling it, I'm also pressing it together so that it sticks together. And at some point, when you have a good grip on it, you can also kind of roll it yourself without the mat. But if you use the rolling mat, it just helps to make it a lot firmer. And you're slowly just going to keep moving along and rolling and pressing, rolling and pressing. You want this seaweed roll to be as firm as possible, and you also want to make sure that all the contents are nice and snug inside of it. Now that your seaweed roll is all rolled together, your roll should look somewhat like this. The ends of it should be stuck on to the other end of the seaweed, and you should have a nice long tube filled with your contents. At this point, you want to use a sharp knife and slice this sushi roll up into some small pieces. You want the measurements to be about 3/4 of an inch wide. You don't want to go much thinner or much thicker. This is fantastic. You just completed your first sushi roll. Let's try this recipe again using some different ingredients. For my second roll, I am going to use my cucumbers and my avocados. But first, before you begin, don't forget to add the sushi rice to your seaweed sheet. You want to use your spatula to evenly distribute it and to gently press it down into the seaweed. Now we're going to add our cucumber strips, and I'm going to add them across the middle of my seaweed and rice sheet, just like this. And I'm also going to add some avocados in there too. I cut these into strips, but they're a little bit chunky, but that's how I kind of like them. You can do it a little bit thinner though. If you want, it will make it easier to roll and it will prevent them from coming out at the ends once you start rolling the seaweed up together. Now remember, this is the hardest part, and when you're using ingredients that are a little bit bigger, like the cucumbers and like the avocados, you're going to struggle a little bit trying to keep everything contained, but not to worry, you can do this, just work a little bit slower with it as you are rolling. And remember, as you roll, you can use your hands to kind of press things back in if they start falling out and just keep pressing that seaweed sheet together so that the roll comes out nice and firm. And as you can see, my avocados are kind of coming out at the ends. I'm just going to take one of them out so it's not so thick and push the other one back in there. and I'm just going to continue rolling until I get my long seaweed roll. It's a little thick, but keep working with it and keep pressing it as you're moving along. I have some rice coming out at my ends. I'm just going to use my knife and gently press it back in so it's not falling out. And I'm just going to also use my knife and just cut off the end of this avocado that's finding his way to come out of my sushi roll, and just push everything back together. And once again, once you are finished this roll, get a sharp knife and slice your sushi into small chunks, just like this. Be very careful when you're using a knife, especially a knife this sharp. If this is something that you want to ask your mom or your dad or your guardian to help you with, I would definitely and highly recommend it. Once your rolls are finished, you can enjoy them with some soy sauce or you can enjoy them on their own, but we just want you to enjoy them because they're very, very tasty. Some of you have some extra seaweed strips and you have some extra rice and you have some extra vegetables or meat laying around your house or in your kitchen. Let's see some of your designs. Why don't you make some new combinations of sushi rolls and send us a picture or send us an email, but we want to hear some of the different combinations of sushi that you came up with. Thank you so much for cooking with us. We will see you guys next week.